This weekend we'll see the 2019 British Grand Prix, round 10 of the 2019 season. However, the big question around this race, will this be the last ever Silverstone Grand Prix? Will this be the last ever British Grand Prix for quite some time? In this video, we're going to do a little bit of a breakdown how we got to this place, because a few years back, there was no doubt in the future of the British Grand Prix. We're going to talk about alternate venues the race could potentially be held at, but most importantly, we're going to be looking at the question, can the British Grand Prix be saved? If you are new around here, welcome. My name is Dan and I cover both Formula 1 and Formula E content. So if you are new and you enjoy, please feel free to subscribe. But let's crack on with it then. So, the British Grand Prix, I think we all know, is one of those races that the majority of the Formula 1 fan base, whether you have a particular affiliation with Britain, you were born here, you've visited the country on holiday, you love the country, anything like that, people always look forward to the British Grand Prix. The past couple of seasons in particular have done some awesome races, especially 2018, where the attending British fans didn't quite get the result they wanted. Sebastian Vettel took the win last season. However, the race itself was awesome. A circuit historic throughout time in Formula 1. One of the classics, a little bit like Spa, a little bit like Monaco, that no one wants to see leave the calendar. However, since the newbies, Liberty, bought Formula 1 back in 2016, things haven't quite gone so well with Silverstone, with the owners of the circuit, which is not the British government. I do need to point that out. It is private owners that own the Silverstone and the British Grand Prix. There was a little bit of a falling out, and we're going to, in a little moment, have a look why a release clause was triggered and 2019 could be the last ever race. On your screen now, you should be seeing the attendance rates last year for the top 7 highest attended races. And as you can see, the British Grand Prix is the most attended race of the entire calendar last season. However, since Mexico's coming back, it's given it a bit of a run for its money. However, historically, Great Britain, Silverstone has been the most attended race. So you think to yourself, well, how have the owners got to the point where they can't put on the race? And as all things do in life, especially in Formula 1, it comes down to money. And the Silverstone Grand Prix, the contract put in place all those years ago by Bernie Ecclestone, before Liberty Media bought Formula 1, or the rights to Formula 1, the contract itself included a 5% escalator fee. So to put on the Grand Prix back in 2010 would be £12 million. In 2017, that would rise to £17 million. But by 2026, that would be £27 million. Over double the cost it would have been to put the race on in 2010. However, to add on to that, because of this 5% escalator fee put in by Bernie Ecclestone, the race couldn't fund itself, and the whole business model became completely unsustainable. You can see on screen there, in 2015 a 2.8 million net loss, and in 2016 a 4.8 million net loss. So just with their business heads on, it made sense to trigger the release clause in 2017. What that meant is there was a 2-year almost probation period, cooling off period, which means the 2019 race will be the last race that uses the current contract. That makes sense. You can't really argue with the logic there. If it's not working, if you're losing about £7 million, 7.8 million in just 2 years, and that continued again last year. However, the revenue reports haven't come out yet. It was highly expected to be another net loss. That is not sustainable, and you can see why the owners have said, you know what, although this is one of the best races on the calendar, we just can't afford it. And you can see why tracks like the Nürburgring in Germany, like Monza, even like Spa are struggling so much to stay afloat because of these deals that Bernie Ecclestone put in place all those years ago. And it's those kind of things that Liberty Media hasn't been the smoothest of transitions because there's so many of these sneaky little deals thrown around all over the place in Formula One. So that's where we are now. The question then becomes, what's next? So it would make sense that a deal would be made. That would be the ideal situation for everyone. A fixed sum that the race pays every single year, like most circuits do nowadays. However, in saying that, other circuits, like Azerbaijan, pay far more than 27 million per race. However, as I mentioned, Silverstone is not publicly owned, it's privately owned, so it's a little bit different there. And the fact that it's not a street circuit and it's an actual race circuit changes that dynamic a little bit as well. So that would be ideal if they can, the owners of Silverstone can make a deal with Liberty Media, a fixed sum every single year, and happy days. Silverstone make money, Formula One make money. That's ideal. It's a track, as I mentioned, and I will keep saying, everyone, almost everyone, absolutely loves. The drivers love going to it. Brilliant circuit, nice and long. We've had some absolutely historic races here. No one wants to see it go. You could also say, which, you know, I want to remain as impartial as I can with this one, other people like a change. I have been an advocate saying that we shouldn't get rid of Melbourne, we shouldn't get rid of Paul Ricard. I know, that's not the best thing to be saying in this current climate of Formula One, but I personally think if every single race of the calendar is a little bit different, things don't get stale, things are fresh every time you get to a different race. Look at Austria, a track which doesn't always provide the best racing. Last time, brilliant. So you never know quite what you're going to get with Formula One. However, getting a contract with Liberty Media to race at Silverstone isn't the only option. However, it is the most feasible, it is the most realistic. I can imagine a few of you are going to be telling me, oh, well, previously, throughout Formula One history, we've had races at Brands Hatch, we've had races at Donington, you've also got other circuits around the UK like Snetterton. I think that's it. That's not good from my knowledge there. However, there are plenty of circuits over the UK, but Donington and Brands Hatch would be the two that would be most likely to hold a race. Or, it was rumoured at one stage, a London street race. However, personally, I've been watching Formula E since season 1, and the issues they have had to put a street race in London, not because of the fact they're Formula E, but finding a place to do it, to close off London streets for 4 days is so impractical, so I don't even live in London. I've only been to the capital once, but if you live there, then you know it's absolute nightmare. So organising that is very difficult, and that's why Formula E, their circuit they're going to have next year, is inside. A little bit strange, that one, but we're not talking about Formula E today, we're talking about Formula One. So in my opinion, a street race in London, although Liberty have expressed it's something they would love to do, I think that's just too unrealistic, in my opinion. And with Brands Hatch and Donington, they do not have the capacity of a Silverstone. And you look, 340,000 people, I think, would be very unlikely to get at Brands Hatch, very unlikely to get at Donington. And so, it seems to me, getting that infrastructure into those two circuits would be far more hassle than it would be just to sort out a deal with Silverstone. So, what's next? There's a few rumours circling about that a deal with Silverstone could be made, and nothing official has come out just yet, but it seems it's very likely to happen. There's nothing official, nothing concrete, but sources like The Independent and Planet F1 are reporting that a multi-year deal has been agreed with Liberty Media for Silverstone to remain the home of the British Grand Prix. Again, they're not sources I'm going to rely on, and I don't want to come here and say it's confirmed, but more and more traction is building up that a deal will be announced before Sunday. So in the next few days, expect it to happen, but we can't we can't say anything concrete, which is a little bit scary for a track everyone loves, and I just hope we can have one for next season. I also hope we can save tracks like Monza, Spa, but I understand Formula One's got to evolve. Liberty 1 to 25 race calendar. Again, Silverstone for me would be one near the top of the list they've got to have, but times change. Next year Vietnam joins the calendar, Zandvoort returns, we can't have it all. So I really want to know your thoughts in the comments below. Can Silverstone be saved? Will it be saved? Will you miss it? That's the big thing. Would you rather we try something like a London street race? Try something like a Brands Hatch? I'd love to know. I really, really would. But if you are new, feel free to subscribe. Loads more content coming out for the rest of the week in the build up to the British Grand Prix. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.